So we do have some bright spots out here in Asia. Oriel, back to you.
Okay, well that's the good news, Adam. Let's drill down back into the Australian market. Now the jobless rate, as I mentioned, fell to 5.6 from 5.8, but less than expected. 9,100 jobs were added. The participation rate fell for a fourth straight month to 64.9%, the lowest in 7 years. Simon Boulton joins Matthew and myself now, Director at Aequalis Consulting, here on the desk in Sydney. Simon, how are you doing?
Very well, thanks, Oriel.
So to put this in context, you recruit for finance.
That's right. So we're recruiting across industries, in financial services, in service industries, manufacturing industries, and really in their finance and accounting teams.
Analysts, CFOs?
Analysts, CFOs, financial controllers, finance managers, management accountants, anywhere you'll find people with the calculators.
Investment? Fund managers, that sort of side?
In fund managers, so we'll be also recruiting people in that sort of space as well, yeah.
Okay, so do these figures that we've seen out from the jobless rate today, do they reflect what you're seeing?
They're always so complicated, these figures, and patchy. You know, on the surface, a drop to 5.6% is reason to crack open the champagne and let's get going. And I think we've got to remember as well that the Australian unemployment rate has been, comparative to global levels, very, very low. But the figures today, yes, whilst the initial headline figure looks positive, it was really driven by a change in the participation rate rather than a great number of new jobs. The jobs increased only by about 9,000 jobs in the month, and I think the forecast has been for about 11,000, and doesn't even really cover the fall in jobs that we had last month. So, again, different things you can take out of the different parts of the figures.
Well, that change in the participation rate, and we just had a chart up that was showing the continual drop-off in that over the last few months, you'd have to say is more alarming than the month-to-month variation that we see when it comes to job creation versus job loss, because it speaks to more of a confidence issue out there that people have essentially become fed up with trying to find work, so they're just bowing out of the labour market altogether. Is that how you'd read it, and is that something that you're seeing whilst you work in the recruiting space?
I think job seekers are probably spending more time out of work if they are out of work than they have done previously. Something else we have been noticing is, though, people actually exiting the workforce. You know, Australia has an ageing workforce. Lots of people had delayed retirement plans over the course of the last 3-4 years, and perhaps it's that part of this participation rate we think would be, you know, people actually exiting through retirement or through jobs coming to an end. But it is that key indicator above the just headline number of the unemployment rate. But unfortunately, it's the RBA just looking at that headline number that tends to be the big indicator. And these numbers as well come on the back of some really positive sentiment measurements that some of the banks have put out this week. You know, consumer confidence that is very high. Property markets continue to look very strong. So on the one hand, yes, it does show that there might be a weakness behind the numbers, but certainly on the other, there are sort of more forward-looking indicators that suggest that we're still tracking pretty well here.
Simon, what are you seeing? Are you seeing an improvement?
I think there is hiring confidence, Oriel. I think more people now are, certainly post-election, a little bit more clear as to where they're sort of heading. So we have noticed as well, though, an increase in the in the temporary and contract market. So whilst there is this uncertainty, like you mentioned, you know, people are hedging their bets, if you like, and bringing people on a short-term basis. And you know, should things then go as expected, they'll convert them into permanent contracts. But if not, they'll sort of keep that option there. So we've certainly seen that as an indicator out there as well.
That casualisation of the workforce that you mentioned makes it hard to get a grip on the jobless situation as it is anyway. And when you look at some of the other metrics that measure the Australian unemployment rate, aside from the official Bureau of Statistics numbers, some of them suggest that unemployment is actually in the double digits here in Australia. Is that something that you'd agree with?
Again, it's lies, damn lies, and statistics, I think. Yeah, you know, these things are, you can pull them either way you want to show. Right. It is a very difficult measure, and I think that every month it's a volatile number. You know, we had 11 economists suggest that the market was going to actually decrease by 11,000 jobs. It increases by 9,000 jobs. It seems to be the only job that you can get it wrong and still keep your job, unless you're a weatherman. But I think it's just a volatile set of short-term numbers that, you know, can be underpinned by. Things are still tracking pretty well with the Australian economic growth.
Okay. Increasingly hard to actually decipher your way through it, right? Okay, good to have you with us, Simon.
Okay.
Thanks so much for joining us. And Matt, we'll see you in half an hour or so.
I'll be back the next block, in fact, with a market update.
Oh, well, there you go. We'll see you very soon. Questions or comments, we'd love to hear from you. You can email us, cashflow@cnbcasia.com, or you can get in touch with me on Twitter. Just follow me at CNBC Oriel. Well, Hong Kong keeps churning out the millionaires. Emily's up next to talk about why the territory has the magic touch.
Taiwan Excellence brings you Managing Asia Minute.